Hi, it's Michelle from Movement Lesson, and in this case study, I'm working with a brand new baby. This little guy's a day old, and I want you to watch how I bring him into movement, into this world. It is very common to swaddle a baby. I'm not a big fan, and I'm going to show you why throughout. It's not a criticism. They want to come into the world. We want to keep them calm and happy. However, this is the first time the new nervous system is getting used to gravity. Now, we think of gravity as coming down as we fall down, but gravity for a newborn is in all directions. Just that first breath that they need, that struggle, that hand coming out. However, whatever is your vocabulary is how you look at that movement. Their nervous system is regulating against oppositional gravity. And this is stuff I've written about, I've presented on. If you're interested, I've got papers on it that I can send you, just ask for them. But here you're really seeing that right now I'm working on spinal movements, even though I'm working with him as a burrito. I'm working on just getting his system used to that sway. And again, am I swaying or am I pushing against gravity? Am I pushing against gravity? One of the things you should see with a baby is all their movements should be of equal tempo. The hand, the fingers, the tongue, the nose, everything should be almost like the same speed as going up as we would see them as going down. We look at actions as externally, whereas an action actually of a human body is internally. And his system is getting to realize how to interact with all those things, not to create movement, to interact. So if you watch here, a newborn having 15 points of rotation responds to stimuli through rotational movements. That's the only way they can impose gravity. If a newborn presents without these rotational points or points that are missed, traumatized, again, whatever is your vocabulary, stiff, floppy, low tone, they won't develop the way that they're supposed to. But we can stimulate these movements just as we would stimulate organ function. Meaning that if someone's heart were to stop, you can't if my heart stopped right now, I can't restart my own heart. Hopefully there's a guy in the next room or next to me that's going to restart it. It's the same thing with movement. All movements within the body need, if you're not getting it, if you're not creating them, if you cannot initiate the movement, you can't create a milestone. Why not get them when they're a day old, when they're hours old? And this is my hopes worldwide that along with APGAR scores, we have a newborn assessment. So I'm slowly unwrapping him here. Again, that he's enjoying his movements. A lot of people like to say too, give that womb-like experience. Womb gone, we're now out in the real world. Not to say, here you go, here's a floor and a blanket. These movements need to be assessed, evaluated, and also initiated, enhanced, and stimulated. That's what Movement Lesson is. Those are the key principles that I work with. Now see again how his arms are starting to move and that wiggle and that's going on. He's not lifting his legs up. Every movement now that he's doing or should be doing is in what I call weight transfer. There is no muscular based movements. In other words, I mean that, okay, I'm going to now close my hand and open it. They do not have that cognitive awareness. They are 85% water weight in a sense, which is much higher than we're about 60, 65. There's no calcification. There's a higher bone density count. So the skulls haven't fused, all of those kind of things to get them out of the womb. As their bones start to join and create what we call an adult, then again, we can go into a load lift variation, but you're not going to see muscle-based movements. There should be balance or response to balance in every cell of a human body, and you really see this with a baby. If you start seeing muscle-based responses from abnormal vision is one telltale sign that there's issues, meaning that, let's say if I have a right eye in, now again, they haven't learned to see, you'll see them go in and out, but when you actually see a muscular contraction, let's say doing something like this, or the eye going out, there's going to be developmental repercussions to go with that. Any deviations within this aspect of a baby growing, there will be continued deviations going on. Right now it might be this much, they'll slowly grow. Let's say Breathing. If you can't regulate gravity with the first breath, if the breath has been traumatized, cord around neck, whatever, that system has not regulated that breath, I can guarantee you if there's no intervention, you're going to have issues with walking. If I can't deal with gravity and breathing, how am I going to deal with it in walking, as an example? However, I'm not trying to find fault in any child. I'm trying to evaluate and stimulate as soon as possible. And yes, you can make super babies just as well as, I'm not looking for there to be concerns. But this baby was born to a client of mine and was a C-section, so they wanted the child to be checked out. As you can see, what I'm doing here now is I'm crossing midline. This is the first time this child's experienced. Now, most people think of midline is just here. Now, this is an adult function. Baby function, the chest cavity has to move, that chest cavity. So what I'm looking for actually is the vertebrae to cross midline. So as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm going in, not a topical kind of rock. I want that vertebrae, that spine to cross midline. My tempo is very similar, like if I were to say, look to the right, look to the left. I'm not going look to the left, look to the right with my actions, especially in a newborn. Also, you can see here, everything that I offer is rotational movements. So you will not see me here. The movement goes somewhere. It talks, my hand talks around the body. So his movements are going through his system. Very happy watching his kicks and so forth are asymmetrical. All of those kind of things. I know I have a close-up with my hands here, but we'll back out a little bit where you can see him. But as you can see, he has a very nice tempo for a baby. The baby really, again, even the face movements and so forth are just really nice. Now, again, there won't be vision at this stage. Vision, even now, see, he just opened his eyes, but he's just responding. He's not looking, and that'll start kicking in around the 3-week range for a baby. I don't want visual acuity at this stage because, again, his muscles, and the eyes are a very key muscle point, are just adapting to the world in a sense. So it's just an open and close, but as you can see, the head counters with the vision, instead of you're seeing. That's a completely different visual response. He's adorable. Movement and adorability, though, are two separate issues, and this is the biggest problem. I get so many videos, my child's not rolling over, my child's not. But again, healthy size, healthy weight, adorable. They're going to be bypassed by the system. Every person deserves to have better movement, especially our babies. Please don't restrict their movements. We have devices to keep them safe, but at the same time, those devices can be overused wrongly to they need these kind of stimuli, that spine especially. As you can see, the more and more that I'm doing, what I like, notice counter, with the whole upper body movements. But he's not lifting his arms. Every movement he does, he changes with the foot, changes with the leg, changes with it. It's always a counter response. And his system is getting a more complex response because I'm adding to it. He's not just doing this, I'm moving in through his chest cavities. So he's getting all these finite movements just so early. I'm going a little bit quicker than what I'm doing with the baby to show you. Look at that. It looks like he's stretching out and so forth, but what he's doing is he's starting to regulate more power through his skeletal system. But he's also setting up the symmetry, and the symmetry in a baby has to be with asymmetrical movements. When you see a baby, the ATNR, very familiar. Again, people think it's hand muscle-based function. I am pushing against gravity. I am pushing against gravity. That's a typical ATNR. If you do not see that push against gravity, then you're not going to see what's going on is the upper thorax, the spine is starting to get articulated spinal movements. Look at him all the way out now. Now he's going to start to get hungry. Babies get very hungry with this work. I'm starting to find spots. Don't necessarily, now you'll see him start to bark in a sense. I don't let babies cry, but there's a difference between crying and starting to have a language. Let their lungs actually, again, get that power, get that force through them. It'll be a regulating. Just like I'm not screaming at you right now. We have a tempo, an inside voice, an outside voice. Those are learned movements. So now he's just had his meal, and now I'm getting him back again. Again, digestion. A nurse baby is going to digest on a rotation, a torque, whereas a bottle-fed baby is not. It's going to be a very linear movement, something that's not done. The suck is completely different from bottle-fed babies to nursing. I'm not saying good mom, bad mom. There are circumstances involved. However, if you change the way they're meant to develop, then offer them the movement so the brains can still figure things out the way that they were supposed to. Now more under the pelvis, and allowing with this that again his legs are starting to again not only oppose gravity here but through the pelvis as well. It would be an early movement for him. Again, I'm just looking for that boat-like response. I want him to respond. He needs to come down into my hands, down into my hands. If I were to see both legs going up, that would be a little bit of a warning signs to me. Again, both legs are up here, but see the knees and so forth. He's still asymmetrical at a very healthy level. Also notice too, the toes, just like fingers, will go in and out of movement, but the babies can wave their toes. I actually can still wave my toes. Most adults see that where he's waving his toes. And he's got some good sized toes. For being, again, 2 weeks some early, he's just a nice proportional baby. Really just sweet to work with, and you can just see how he's just moving around my movements. He is just responding to my stimuli. But again, now if he was just wrapped this whole hour and let's say put in a car seat or whatever, but it just let's say wrapped and put over and nobody is moving him within these parameters, he's learning a different vocabulary right from day one. Work with your babies. Play with your babies. Enjoy them. You can be doing this right now in your arms. It does not have to be laid out, but honestly, a nice surface and a blanket is, you wouldn't believe the development you'll get out of your child, especially at this age. Let them look at how every cell, every part of their skin, their epidermis is learning how to move within our atmosphere. You have to take into consideration in the womb. Yes, they have gravity, but they're in amniotic fluid, but there's also no organ function. There's organ function, but not the same. You don't have movement like this. There's no rotation in the womb. They'll move within the womb, but they won't physically rotate to cross midline. You'll see a baby do these kind of things. Any kind of fixed points of this with stress causes issues with fetal development. But also, again, you're not having respiratory. He breathes through his back, through his chest, through his side. That's breathing. It's not here. A NICU baby, that's all wherever they're exposed to gravity, that's all they're getting. Look at what he's breathing. Look at all those different great things. Even here, you don't see it. His tongue is learning how to move in this direction and move in this direction. If he were to have an NG tube, let's say, again, these things are necessary to keep a child alive, but at the same time, it's going to affect development. When we have life situations that weren't naturally supposed to happen, it's not, oh, too bad, so sad. You can do these little touches. You can do it. Even in the NICU, you can go in. I have plenty of videos. But let them know that any movement is possible, because when you teach the brain that any movement is possible, then anything is possible. Anything is possible. It's just that simple. You and I can think that way because we have life experience. Even though I haven't been on a bike for a long time, let's say, I can go ride a bicycle tomorrow. I know it's possible because the movement's in me. Now, if I've never ridden a bike and I didn't crawl, I didn't do those movements, even now, riding a bike would be possible. But at the same time, that would take work. I could hop on a bicycle right now and just go. And he's done with his lesson. He's about to say, I'm cooked again, and he's going back to his mother and going off to sleep. Please continue to watch Movement Lesson by liking and subscribing. Movement Lesson is here for everybody to learn how to move better, but also to offer movements from the day your baby is born. Thank you.